Winning a world title is typically considered one of the top moments in the career of a WWE superstar. Yet while the title triumph itself can be a dream come true, what happens when they're actually tasked with being the champion can be a big letdown, if not turn into an outright nightmare. They say it can be tough at the top, whoever they are, something that these supposed standard bearers found out the hard way after the euphoria of their big moments wore off. I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are 10 lackluster reigns that followed incredible WWE World Title changes. Join us. Number 10, CM Punk World Heavyweight Title. Though he was an immediate hit with WWECW fans, CM Punk had to fight hard to persuade the WWE locker room as well as management that he was a main event level player. While he bagged the ECW title a year after his debut proper, the real test came after Punk cashed in his Money in the Bank contract on World Heavyweight Champion Edge on the June 30th, 2008 episode of Raw. The straight edge superstar took advantage of a Batista beatdown to win the title in epic fashion, giving the rated R superstar a little taste of his own medicine. Fans popped big for the switch, and it seemed as though Punk's headline status had been solidified on the night. Regrettably, WWE failed to book him as anything resembling a dominant champion against much larger opponents like Batista, Kane, and JBL. If he won matches, it was almost always by fluke, while his feuds and storylines were positioned far from the main event position. That he lost the title after being attacked backstage and not even making it to the scheduled match, as every fighting babyface should at least attempt to do, spoke volumes about how WWE saw him at the time. Number 9, Diesel WWF title. The rise of Diesel was something to behold. After emerging as the bodyguard for Shawn Michaels, Big Daddy Cool took off on his own and became one of the most popular acts in the company. So popular, in fact, that WWE booked the relatively inexperienced 7-footer to hold the world title for almost an entire year. The manner in which he won the belt, beating transitional champion Bob Backlund in just 8 seconds at the November 26, 1994 Madison Square Garden house show, certainly made a statement, as it was clear that WWE were all in on Kevin Nash. And there were highlights during his run with the gold, matches with Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels for example, but overall his mammoth reign had to be considered a huge disappointment. Matches with Sid, the British Bulldog, and of all people King Mabel were positively rotten, while Big Daddy Cool lost his cool factor as a smiling, high-fiving babyface. Truth is, he never looked completely comfortable in the role, and it was a relief when the ever-dependable Hitman took the belt from him at Survivor Series 95. Number 8, Daniel Bryan WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Fan outcry sent Daniel Bryan to the WrestleMania 30 main event after WWE originally booked Randy Orton vs Batista in a singles match. Powered by the Yes Movement, D-Bry beat Triple H in the show's opener to make the WWE World Heavyweight title match a triple threat, before overcoming all of the odds to improbably end the night with the gold. As the American Dragon stood there with his family and friends watching on as confetti rained down on him, he probably thought, can it get any better than this? At the time, no, not really. Bryan managed a single defense against Kane in an admittedly very fun Extreme Rules match at the namesake pay-per-view before he was forced to relinquish the belt due to a serious neck injury. Fans were desperate to see the beloved bearded wonder get a proper run as champion after his first World Heavyweight title run had ended in an 18-second squash, and the Authority had conspired to keep the WWE title away from him the year before. Sadly, it was not to be, with WWE attempting to use the real-life situation to continue the feud with Bryan's wife Brie Bella and Stephanie McMahon. Number 7, Rey Mysterio World Heavyweight title. Inspired by the memory of his best friend, the late great Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio defied all expectations by winning the 2006 Royal Rumble and then beating Kurt Angle and Randy Orton at WrestleMania 22 to win the World Heavyweight Championship. The Masked Man's title win was one of the most emotional in WWE history and set a new precedent when it came to the height and weight of a wrestler holding a WWE World title. An excellent in-ring worker with a passionate fan base cheering him on, on, the expectation was that Ray Ray's title reign could be an all-timer if booked right. Spoiler, he was not booked right. The Ultimate Underdog may have retained against Orton and JBL, but he was booked to get demolished by giants like Mark Henry, Kane, and the Great Khali. Meanwhile, he lost non-title bouts to the likes of Finlay, Rob Van Dam, and Angle via countouts, while other matches, such as his hardcore scrap with Sabu from the second one-night stand, ended inconclusively. Mysterio was usually on his game and put in good performances, but it's fair to say WWE didn't view the Cruiserweight as proper heavyweight champion material regardless of how many masks he sold. Number 6, Rob Van Dam, WWE title. After 5 years in the company as one of the most over wrestlers on the roster, WWE finally pulled the trigger on Rob Van Dam at ECW One Night Stand 2006. In front of a partisan, nay outright hostile ECW crowd, the whole flipping show won the WWE title by beating John Cena in a red-hot main event. It was the culmination of 15 years of hard work for RVD, several years after many fans felt he should have been given the chance. As well as the WWE title, Van Dam was given the ECW World title on the very first edition of the rebooted ECW television show. It must have been the highest of highs for him. Well, maybe not, but he was still on top of the world for a few weeks there. Unfortunately, then he and Sabu were pulled over while speeding and busted for pot and pain pills, with Van Dam ordered to drop both titles at consecutive television tapings in ECW home base Philadelphia no less, before serving a 30-day suspension for violation of the company's wellness policy. He only managed 2 successful WWE title defenses, a no contest with Cena and a victory over Edge prior to everything literally going up in smoke. Number 5, Edge, WWE title. After several years of hovering around the upper mid-card, Edge finally received the singles push his talent deserved. No longer a fresh-faced and rather bland babyface, he had turned into the greasy rated-R superstar and was one of the hottest heels on Raw. Fittingly, his maiden WWE title win was one of the best ever, as he became the first person to successfully cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase. When Edge pinned John Cena following Cena's successful WWE title defense inside the Elimination Chamber at New Year's Revolution 2006, it really felt as though WWE had just cemented the Canadian as a member of the Main Eventers Club. And the ratings for his and Lita's segments, yes, including that one, demonstrated that fans were well into the Ultimate Opportunist, and a TLC match with Ric Flair on Raw was a drama-filled spectacle. That said, it became pretty clear that WWE evidently only saw Edge as the man to keep the belt warm for Cena. 21 days after winning it so spectacularly, Edge surrendered it rather meekly in an ordinary match at the Royal Rumble. People remember the cash-in and the live celebration, but Edge's first WWE title reign was over before it really had a chance to get going. Number 4, Mankind WWF title. If you want to put butts in seats, you either hire Adam Pacitti to DJ a wedding, or you put the WWF title on Mankind. WCW famously shot themselves in the foot while giving away that Mick Foley's alter ego was set to win the WWF title from The Rock on the January 4th, 1999 episode of Raw. Hundreds of thousands of viewers switched channels to see the hardcore legend beat the Brahma Bull in a tremendously sports-entertaining match that featured one of the loudest 1-2 of crowd pops for Steve Austin's interference, followed by the 3 count. It was an epic moment that will live on the WWE highlight reel for decades to come. The reign itself? Not so much. Mankind continued feuding with The Rock heading into the Royal Rumble, but only managed one single solitary televised defense against Kane, which he lost by disqualification no less. Mankind then lost the title back to The Rock at the Royal Rumble in a brutal I Quit match, which at least ended his first WWF reign on a memorable moment. Not that he remembers it, of course. About 1 million chair shots to the head will do that, you know. Number 3, The Ultimate Warrior WWF title. It would take someone with big shoes and big muscles to follow an act like Hulkamania, and, well, muscles didn't come much bigger or more ripped than the Ultimate Warriors. Alas, I'm not sure what his shoe size was. The increasingly popular Intercontinental Champion was the man handpicked to take over from the Hulkster, and he beat the Golden Goose 1-2-3 clean in the middle in the all-babyface main event of WrestleMania 6. The torch had well and truly been passed, but could the Warrior handle the heat in the hot seat? He held the title until the 1991 Royal Rumble, where he lost it to Sergeant Slaughter, so it's not like he wasn't given plenty of time. But it's fair to say that Jim Hellwig's WWF title reign didn't set the world on fire. He defended the championship tirelessly on the road, but televised defenses against the likes of Haku, Rick Rude, who he had already feuded with the year before, and the $1 Million Man were hardly inspiring. With the spectre of Hogan looming over him, he found it hard to establish himself as the guy, and Terrible Terry happily waltzed back into the picture to reclaim his spot. Tough break, brother warrior, brother. Number 2, Randy Orton, World Heavyweight title. With Randy Orton, it was always a question of when, not if. The Legend Killer rose up the card thanks to a sterling Intercontinental title reign and a tremendous program with Mick Foley, which was capped off with a career-best performance in their no-holds-barred classic at Backlash 2004. With the extra credibility gained from hanging with the hardcore legend, WWE decided young Randy was ready for the next step and booked him to beat World Heavyweight Champion Chris Benoit clean in the main event of that year's SummerSlam. The Rabid Wolverines post-match endorsement, followed by Orton winning a competitive rematch the following night on Raw, were good signs, but WWE jumped the gun in having Triple H kick him out of Evolution. Randy wasn't ready to be a top-line babyface just yet, and his reign stuttered as a result. Decision makers quickly surmised that it just wasn't working and had Orton drop the belt to the game at the very next pay-per-view, ending his weak reign at just 28 days. Incredibly, it would take him 3 years to win another world title. 3 years? Lol, what a loser. Number 1, Chris Jericho, WWF Undisputed title. You might not be aware of this fact, but Chris Jericho became Undisputed Champion by beating The Rock and Steve Austin in the same night. This little piece of trivia that Jericho hardly ever brings up put Y2J in a class of his own, even if the manner in which he beat the Great One and the Texas Rattlesnake was far from fair. What also wasn't fair was the fact that Jericho, despite being the Undisputed Champion and holding 2 very shiny title belts, was still positioned well below the real main event stars. He did have a cracking defense against The Rock at the 2002 Royal Rumble, and he managed to beat Stone Cold again in the No Way Out headliner, but the return of Triple H and the arrival of the New World Order duly took some of the spotlight away from the Ayatollah of rock and roller. And then his WrestleMania title program became more about the marital woes of Hunter and Stephanie McMahon, as Jericho was reduced to cleaning up after a damn dog. After predictably losing the gold to the Cerebral Assassin in a WrestleMania show closer that couldn't hope to follow Rock Hogan, Jericho likely wanted to never, ever hold the world title again.